Welcome to Anime Anonymous. I am CJ.
This is Ace.
And this is Jess.
And we are joined by a very, very special guest. We are joined by none other than Jack. How's it going, Jack?
It's going great. How are you all doing today?
We are doing well. Now, anybody who's been listening, I reference Jack and Rick a lot because, one, they are one of the inspirations for me doing this podcast, but super helpful whenever I have questions, and I have a lot of them. So just a quick kind of overview. Tell us about you and Featured Anime Podcast.
I am just a general grown-up adult weeb that just happens to love anime and video games. I've never grew out of that phase, and I love the genre even to this day, no matter how much people have thrown hate on it. In fact, my wife even thought I was a loser back in the day when she found out I watched anime. And then my counterpart, Rick, who also does a show with me, we've been friends for over 20 years, and I actually got him started on anime. So the journey for us has been lifelong and enjoyable. And I decided, because he had moved back east, that we should do a podcast so that way we can still talk about our love of the anime and just watch the genres and shows and expose him to new shows that are out there that are coming out to kind of broaden our horizons and just bring our viewpoints to everyone else who may or may not be interested in a particular show.
Yeah, heck yeah. It's kind of some, obviously you're not on the West Coast and I'm not on the East Coast, but it's very similar to Ace and I in the sense of, even though anime is like kind of not shunned anymore, we're at work like, oh wait, you watch anime?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you watch?
Definitely feel you on the girlfriend at first thinking I'm a loser because I enjoy anime and manga. Yeah, that hit home. I'm like, well, we're all not alone.
I feel like all of us have any anime like truest nowadays, like who's still doing it, kind of has the same like upbringing. Like, right. Yeah, this is kind of for nerds or losers.
Like, Jack is spot on. He is spot on with everything. I'm like, okay.
I was the guy calling it like nerds and losers, and then I got it. I was like, wait, what is this?
See, I never did that. I
was a jock through and through, bro.
Same. So I was a jock, but I enjoyed my anime and manga in the privacy of my own home. I didn't talk about it with nobody. I didn't share it.
So you were a closet weeb. I got you. Me, I was.
yes, and proud of it because I was still here.
All right. No, I was the fat weeb that embraced his weirdness, and people just embraced me for it.
Oh man.
Well, awesome. So, funnily enough, we were about to start recording and just chatted with Jack, and we ended up getting him on the show. So I've actually wanted to have Featured Anime on here, so this is a win-win. And funnily enough, everybody knows this episode for us is on Bubble, the movie, which Jack and Rick literally just reviewed. So it's gonna kind of be fun from all angles. From all of us have watched it, but then one show's already reviewed it, and one we're about to. So, but before we get into the all of that, we're gonna go through the rigmarole. If you guys want to follow us on Twitter, it's XAnimeAnonymous. Instagram, add another X at the end.
Audience Anime Anonymous.
And if you're old school and just want to hit us up on the email, it is xanimeanonymousx@gmail.com. So let's jump into it. And because you were doing all these hand signals on a audio podcast, why don't you start, Jess?
You just sounded like, one of those like commercials. Like,
yeah, man. I kind of.
You're just at 1-800-123-BONE or something. You just sounded like that.
Give me a couple hours. I'll put the nighttime voice on.
Calm down. Calm
For a
down.
good time, call 1-900-CJAA Awesome.
Works.
Oh
Put
my
that out here.
goodness. Goodness.
Man.
All right, so what's up? What
All
you
right.
got for me?
So, little just kind of summary of what Bubble is. Bubble is basically a parkour anime, but it has a twist of a fairy tale in it, but it doesn't really you know what fairy tale they're talking about, and in this case it is The Little Mermaid, but it's not a Little Mermaid anime. It is a parkour anime through and through. Basically, Bubbles took over Tokyo, absorbed Tokyo, and they're parkouring on all the floating buildings because gravity got messed up. And there's two main characters that can jump on bubbles.
Yeah, just because. I mean,
because.
that's kind of one thing that's not really explained is why everything floating. but you know, bubbles.
It's plot bubbles. You have to keep that in
Yes.
mind. Plot bubbles makes the world go round, and
Exactly.
plot bubbles is the core of it all. And unless you have the giant bubble sphincter, in which case it is the ruler of all the bubbles.
Yeah, the what did they call it? They called it the ant lion pit or something,
ant
like
pit.
the red thing in the bottom.
I had no idea.
It was
Yeah.
the ant pit or something.
Yeah, I think
The
it's like
fire ant pit or something.
I think it's
Yeah.
ant lion because like ant lions make pits like that,
Mhm.
and they literally that's why they're called ant lions. They shoot stuff and trap ants in it.
I learn
Yes.
something new every
Yeah, I was
day.
about to say your little nerdy nature fact.
Well, in this case, it just sucks everything in like as if it was a black hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the two main characters, I mean, you have a couple other supporting ones, but the two main characters are Hibiki. He is the male lead. He is the one built up as the parkour god, for lack of a better word.
Which he is.
I mean, he's legit. And one thing I will say, as a person who loves parkour, not somebody who's done it, because I will break my neck, but as a person who used to watch, they had this show on G4, I want to say, that was a parkour show.
Is that the tag one?
No. This was
Okay.
ones like Levi Muhlenberg. He's an amazing parkourist. They had teams and they would do parkour through different cities and stuff. It was super cool. So I will say one thing I loved about this, outside of jumping on bubbles, but the moves that they were doing were very accurate.
Oh yeah.
It was
Very
legit.
believable.
I was feeling that, so I was happy about that. But Hibiki is the parkour god for the, what are they called? The blue flames or
Yeah,
something?
the
Blue
blue
Blazers.
flames. Yo,
Blue Blazers. See, I knew it. Go ahead, girl. See,
I remember all the small details these boys cannot seem to remember.
hey,
I was just enjoying the cinematic and art.
yeah, I like the different angles that they do. They'll do some from behind. They'll flip it. If they're doing flip, they'll flip it to the side. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I
Had
see
me
you.
feeling like I was partaking. I'm like, okay.
Just put your Fitbit on. It's I'm running right now.
Definitely on the Apple Watch.
oh, excuse me. Apologies. Oh,
That's a big difference.
fancy. I have my Galaxy Watch 4, which is dead right now, so it's just at my house.
Where is it, sir?
It's dead right now, so it's at my house.
It's sitting on his charger, but that's off topic. Back to
Yeah.
Bubble.
But and then who's the other one? Uta.
Uta.
Yeah, which is the
Bubble that manifested into a girl.
Yep. Yeah. Basically,
Mhm.
I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, I was
Because
gonna ask
she
y'all
was
that,
Again, plot bubbles, as Jack says.
Yeah.
Because she's a little bubble, jumps into, there's at the very beginning, the main character, he's trying to climb the Tokyo Tower, falls, little bubble sees him, jumps to save him, and kisses him, and then turns into a bigger bubble. So I don't know how that worked. But then you also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but her form is actually from a poster. There's a poster on the train that he's trapped in.
oh, that was her
Wait,
inspiration.
seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah. There's a poster literally that gets maybe 5 seconds max.
In the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning, and that's what she turns into.
Yeah, she like looks at it and like materializes into that.
Yeah, that's her.
So basically, she's doppelganging as someone else that's actually out there in the world.
Basically, or unless it's a man-made character, like a mascot or something,
or that character died in the actual Tokyo.
Yeah, so there's multiple. Either it's a real character that either is alive or dead, or it's just like a mascot made, kind of like Crunchyroll made that one girl recently. Like that's like now their avatar. So could be something similar.
That would be really awkward if he ventured out into the world, ran into the Uta character that Uta was actually based on, started talking to her. It's like, hey, we should totally go parkouring again like we used to do.
Yeah, it'd be like Bubble side story.
Right. That would be lit.
Like, who's this creep? She's like running away. He's parkouring after her.
And she's not good at parkour because she's the doppelganger. Oh, man.
That'd actually be hilarious.
That would be so unfortunate. I'm like, this is not Uta. What are we doing?
I don't know what. I don't know what's happening. He just keeps calling me Uta, and my name's Sakura.
Oh my god, she's more than useless.
Hey, no more shots at Naruto. I'm not having it.
Oh god, you're just like Rick. Rick hates shots at Naruto.
Oh yeah.
I still am a Hinata over Sakura fan.
Oh hell yeah, Hinata all day.
Yeah, just making sure y'all know.
But yeah, so I mean, it kind of just jumps you into the story really quickly, right? Like that, like she saves him, and then she shows up.
Yeah, materializes. Yeah. Breathes air into him.
Yeah,
but actually, she showed up, and this is jumping as we did.
Yeah, of course.
She actually showed up during the actual devastation, and when he put his hand to the glass,
yeah.
That was the first encounter of Uta.
Yeah, it was their first encounter, and you find out like he's the catalyst for two things. He's the catalyst for her change, right? But then he's also the catalyst of what happened in Tokyo. So it's very like you don't know.
Can we go into that about how he's the catalyst for what happened in Tokyo?
Yeah. So if you get like when you're at that point, right? He gets to where he's going because we don't want to spoil everything, right? So he gets to the point and he sees that moment where he and Uta meet, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he and her quote unquote touch, right?
There's a glass.
Boom. Red bubbles, everything's pissed off, and explosions happen.
You think he caused that?
Their connection did.
Okay.
Yeah. So if he hadn't reached out, she wouldn't have realized that he could hear her song.
Right.
She now knows somebody can hear her song, wants to know why he can hear her song. They connect, red bubbles, boom.
The bubble phenomenon.
Yep. Bubblicious. That's a gum.
Let's not. I've seen the movie, Jess.
I just couldn't believe that he remembered that split second thing.
Yes, because you talking about you remember the small things. I pay attention to like the most minute details.
Okay.
So you had a definite connection with Hibiki in that moment. Is that how it happened between you and Jess? You just reached out and touched and
no.
Okay. Oh no. Our origins are much funnier and nerdier, but we will get into that some other time.
Yeah. No.
But I will say off rip, I did really like the visuals. It was a good mix. You know me, I like kind of two sides of coins, right? So you had a very drawn look a lot of the times with like really nice hues, but then you also had like when they were parkouring, it was closer to that CGI, faster, more like modern look, right? So I liked the changing between the two. Like it kind of had like not an old school, but had more of that drawn look until they were running, and then it got more fancy, for lack of a better word. So I really liked the different styles used.
Yeah, I think they blended those two parts very well.
Yeah.
But from the colors, from the action shots, from the I guess, motion cut scenes.
Yeah.
I was entrenched probably in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As you see him start moving through the debris and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, no, I think they did a really good job of kind of hooking you, especially with the intro to Hibiki, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
what's up? What's up, Jack?
Yeah, no, I actually agree. The artwork, the style, how they do the full introduction, and it's not that they introduce Hibiki right away immediately.
No.
They let it build up the tension, and they build up the introduction for him. So that way, when he is introduced, you already have that expectation where he is meant to be the end all be all when it comes to parkouring, at least for their group.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Because what's the little kid? What I think his name was Rabbit or something.
Usagi.
The loud one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't like it.
Yeah, Usagi. So yeah. So Rabbit, like, he tried to jump on a bubble, right? And they're like, "What are you doing?" He falls, and then Hibiki, like you know, a main character, just slowly kind of just drops in, and then, you know, it's
Like a
all
boss.
finessing and just gets him, and then just sachets basically and grabs the flag, like, and they're all like, "Dang it!" But then they're like, "Why are you mad? Like, you just got food."
Bro, that was beastly. His confidence, and then he kind of felt like he had a little super ability of being able to hear.
Well, yeah,
Not
you
just-
find that out later. At first, I thought it was just fashion choice, to be perfectly
Like the
honest.
headphones?
The headphones, because I'm like, oh god, she's just trying to be too cool for school. Like, period, right? Like, who? Why is he wearing headphones?
Yeah, then you find out he really needs it because what is he able to
He has like
hear too much?
Yeah, he has like a sensory overload kind of issue. And I've known people like this. They weren't friends of mine, but I've known of people like this where they have to kind of get the reverse of a hearing aid. Like, so when he's a kid, it shows like he has those noise canceling
Headphones.
like earmuffs, basically. But yeah, I mean headphones. But some people, they actually have like the reverse of like in-ear hearing aid. Like, it kind of dampens hearing. So yeah, he kind of has that, which then now it makes sense why he has the headphones.
Yeah.
Because I think obviously he was a kid, right? So it's overloading him. He didn't really know how to deal with it. As he gets older, I think he learned kind of how to deal with it, and he didn't need as much of a noise canceling. Because I mean, if you compare the actual headphones they give you at that school for them versus headphones he has now, they're not going to work as well as those. But then, I mean, he loses them later on in the anime to, I think, their way of trying to show his growth, both not as just a person, but as like a unit, right? Because he also talks to the other people.
Yeah, finally joins in on their little huddle.
Yeah, and like when everybody's cooking and eating, like he says something. So
Yeah,
they were
and it's a really great way for them to show the character development and the growth for him in general. So I feel like that's like part of the catalyst for it too, because you see that progression. At first, he's always wearing them, and then as time goes on, he's wearing them less and less, and then it eventually gets to a point where he's just not wearing them at all.
Yep. So yeah, I liked the plot device of the headphones.
Back to the posters. If y'all rewatch the movie and just look at the posters in the background, they're literally giving the Uta mermaid girl
A lot of different places.
in multiple places. I only remembered it, in that drowning scene, but I'm kind of like shadow watching it again right now, just because it was just such pleasing to the eye. And I'm like, oh, they did some what's it called when they put those little cliffhangers in, and then you pick them up later as you watch.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are like foreshadow Easter eggs.
Yeah, Easter eggs. Oh, there's the fart.
Yeah, when he shows up. What about you? But
I will say I do like Uta's growth a lot because she did come from a bubble and she only knows how to sing. So watching her learn how to talk through books, which I thought Mikoto,
The science chick?
the science chick,
The science chick. See, why don't you just go with the
See,
science
I'm trying
chick?
to respect their culture.
Hey, I'm not
Trying.
Japanese.
You're not Japanese. You know
Makoto. Gotcha. Okay, I got you.
Jack, are you Japanese?
Hell no.
Okay.
The science
Anywho,
chick.
I like how she she learned how to talk. But I think it was funny when she finally went up to Hibiki and was like, Hibiki, you're the prince. And he goes, oh, what? I'm the little mermaid. You're the prince. And he gets all blushy. And I'm like, because he remembers her kissing him.
Yeah.
And I was like, aw, he's blushing. He's so cute. He's not all parkour. He's like not all like hard and strong inside. He's got a little soft side. But her, like, when you first meet her with the whole gang, I was like, dang, yeah, this is like a fish out of water. Like, she's like,
Yeah, like she acts like a cat, which I thought was the weirdest thing. I was like, why is she acting like a
I was
cat?
like, she's built for this part. She's built for it.
yeah, but she's funny. I like her a lot.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I actually really enjoyed about this is they gave the parkouring an actual purpose. It wasn't just them going through and just parkouring just because of where they're at. Parkouring is a way for them, one, to resolve conflicts, but also be able to obtain valuable resources if their talents are good enough. So like you stated in the earlier, CJ, that when Hibiki swooped in the very beginning, got the flag and they got the food, it's not that they just had food out there just because. It was because they had put up a valuable resource that they had obtained themselves to be able to trade for that food, so that way they can get it. Because the resources inside the bubble where they are in Tokyo is a finite commodity.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's spot on.
Yeah, no, true. Very true. And I'm building off of that. One thing I did like, because at first I was like, oh man, like they're really struggling, right? These kids are trying to survive. But then you find out later that some of these kids, so it kind of puts a darker tone on it a little bit, because for the most part, all of them are pretty happy except for the Undertakers or whatever they are. Some of these kids chose to jump into the bubble because it's basically no rules, like kind of area, and most of them are orphans because their parents unfortunately died in the Tokyo incident. So you're like, dang. So then they're like, you know what? I'd rather live by my own kind of, I don't know, like rules. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you kind of have some respect, because, like, I mean, look at Usagi. Like, he's a kid. Like some of them are older, but like he's young and he's totally throwing down and having and being an integral part of the Blazers. He just sometimes gets a little too cocky, but he was legit. So it's an interesting just world that they are living in.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. What was your favorite kind of scene? And that could be like a play out.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, there are some really good ones, but I have one in my head that I really like.
Besides Hibiki's parkour, like solo highlight reel, that is a tough one.
I got mine in.
Yeah, Jack, go first. All
right, so in the movie, you remember the scene where Hibiki goes up to where he basically has this little flower garden that's on this section of building that's kind of floating up in the air.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That scene where he's just sitting there chilling on the wrecked out train car, letting the wind kind of blow by, just kind of relaxing, listening to the sounds of nature, which is really calming. That for me was one of my favorite scenes, simply because I'm a fan of lo-fi. I love like very calming, relaxing music, just in general puts me in the right frame of mind. And when I saw that scene, I could totally see myself sitting there doing that exact same thing and enjoying it
Nah, that was a great scene. Yeah, that's a great
just
scene.
chilling. Yeah, I can agree. I did like that scene a lot. I mean, the colors were really nice. They had like a really blended, mellow tone, so it would go with like a lo-fi kind of scene. So yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go next. I guess when Coach, what's his real name?
Shin.
When Coach Shin finally gets to the tower and he's like, "Look, young bucks, I'm a veteran out here in these parts. I'm gonna help y'all save the world." And he goes off, and all of them are looking at him like, "Look at this old man, one leg person. He's up there side kicking. He like punching debris out there doing
that was
martial arts." I'm like, he's a beast. So I think that was probably like my favorite. Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
Well, I mentioned mine earlier when Uta was acting like a cat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm
fair.
a more comedic person.
Fair play.
So the whole anything with like Uta's growth was just hilarious for me.
I like when she bit the shell, like when he gave her like the seashell. She like tried to bite it. That was funny. But that's not my favorite. My favorite is right along where you were talking about when Coach was doing his thing. One, because they didn't just have him running like a normal person. Like he literally was hobble running. But yeah, he used his injury to his benefit. Because he used the metal leg to kick some rocks out the way. And then the end of it where he basically shattered his own leg to make sure Hibiki could get where he needed to go. Yeah. So it's like this whole time, it showed his consistency throughout the whole thing, right? He said he was doing this for the kids' benefit, and he did not hesitate to basically
sacrifice.
Yeah, basically hobble himself again to let Hibiki get where he needed to go. So I loved that scene.
Yeah. Can I just build off that real quick to say how awesome Shin is in comparison to even to the end all be all Hibiki? Because him being one-legged, hobbling along, jumping across and breakdancing in the middle of his parkouring, all right, still can out-jump, out-maneuver, out-everything all the other ones, even though he's like probably in his late 30s, early 40s.
And he didn't even have the shoe booster.
Yeah, the shoe booster.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So he got there without the aid and with a handicap, and he still is better than all of them.
Yeah.
Now, I know I always do this. He reminded me of Shanks. I was like, boss Shanks. He's literally like top notch. He's like, I'm going to pass the baton to the new generation. I'm going to make sure that they can reach to the level and heights just like I have. And make sure everybody's safe. And I'm like, this is Shanks. This is Shanks right now. And if y'all don't know, Film Red is coming out. Definitely check that out. I will be the first one in line when it's in the States. But yeah, just wanted to plug that in there,
Yeah, no, he definitely was. I mean, that was going to be my next question, but like, he's definitely my favorite character. Like, if you take the whole runtime of the movie, he's not really in it for that long, but he makes such an impact in the ones that he does, like in the scenes that he's in. Because, like we go to Hibiki, right? Again, he's like supposed to be the genius with this, and he's listening to the bubbles, and that's how he gets to different places. Shin doesn't have that ability. He can't listen to the bubbles. He's not jumping on the bubbles, yet he got there, and he's like, I know this tower more than you. This is where I actually lost my leg. But like you just think of like the skill that this dude has. You're like, this guy is a beast.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite character.
I'm assuming yours is Uta.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, mine's Uta all day.
Yeah,
okay.
Shocking.
And Jack, who's your favorite character?
My favorite character. I'm gonna. If I have to choose, do I have to choose?
Yes, sir.
Yes. It can be more than one if you have.
How is that a favorite character?
You have to choose. Well, I'm only saying that because the guy with the robot voice when he's He's like,
Oh,
good luck, guys. Like that weird Undertaker team.
Undertaker.
He's like, good luck, guys. Do you need these?
He was funny.
He was funny.
That's not my favorite character.
I enjoyed his community.
It was funny. Go ahead, Jack.
All right. I'll probably go with Uta, and let me tell you why I'm going with Uta.
Yes.
All right. The reason why I'm going with Uta is because, well, yes, Shin is a straight up BAMF. All right. Like, he's unparalleled.
Explain BAMF for the
This guy.
A badass motherfucker. That's why. All right. Uta just takes it to an all new level. And the reason why I say this is because of the ending. And I don't know if you guys want to clarify.
It's all full bar. We just don't like to do it at the beginning. Okay. But yeah, no, you are all open.
Because of her self-sacrifice, the willingness that she went to put her own life, to give up everything just to save Ibiki, who you could tell she truly loved, truly cared about. Yep. Her willingness to self-sacrifice and just go that extra mile, honestly, just takes the cake. You can't do that without truly being selfless.
Yep. Yeah. No, I have to agree with that. Like, I mean, and you see that growth, right? So, like, when she first realizes that if she touches him, she starts, falling apart. But then, she gives up later. She gives up a whole arm to save him, and you feel that you're like, oh my gosh. And then later, she gives her entirety for, mainly for him, but she knows that it's going to help the others as well. Mm-hmm. So you have to put respect on her for that. So like that takes a lot of selflessness, but also like to confront that fear of death. Like she's legit. I do have to give that one to her, and I do have to give respect to the creators, because a lot of movies, I mean, it's just started happening in normal media, right? But a lot of movies always go for the stereotypical happy ending.
Yeah.
But that isn't really, I mean, the end credit scene kinda maybe brings it there, because kinda hints that maybe she's around, but it's a bubble, so it's not her in human form. So it's a leap to leap parkour. It's a leap to really like go for the non-happy ending, because a lot of people still like the generic happy ending. So I do have respect for that.
To be frank, I mean, honestly, that's a call to how a lot of anime used to be. Anime traditionally, I want to say before the 90s, didn't really have a happy ending. And so what happened was Japan started changing their styles and anime style to make it a more of a happy ending to appeal to Western audiences. So when you have a true ending that is not always happy, or very, very sad, very depressing, or just very muted, that's the traditional ending, because in real life, endings aren't always happy.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, you look at your old school, like Akira, that definitely was not a happy ending.
Yes.
But yeah, no. So
did you have any worse characters or worse or scenes or parts that you didn't like? Anything come to mind?
Funnily enough, no. Which is funny to me. Like, the antagonists really weren't any of the individuals. I mean, you could say Undertakers, but they had a reason for doing what they were doing. Like, they're like, hey, I gotta make this money, get this bread for my team. Yeah. Like, and like when they called them out, like when they captured Makoto or whatever, they're like, oh, you won't get away with this. We're gonna tell on you. And they're like the one that speaks through the computers, like, actually, our money is supposed to be like 120% now. like, hey man, go ahead, be about your business.
Yeah, I enjoyed them.
The antagonists were really at the end of the day, like the red bubbles,
red bubbles.
And I guess the red humanoid thing that you kind of see later that like takes on Uta, like when Uta's there, like trapped in a big bubble, you see like a red one, and I think she calls it sister. If I remember
it's her
correctly.
sister.
Yeah,
Well, sister.
Oh, the one that was trying to like prevent her from saving Hibiki.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the real antagonist. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, no, I didn't have anybody that I disliked.
Well, I do. It was the
Of course you do.
the young teammate
Usagi.
Usagi.
What's that?
The kid? The
Yeah,
kid?
yeah, the kid.
Yeah, Usagi. Usagi
Okay.
is Rabbit.
I was so scared that he was going to be the shonen-esque main character of like a Asta from Black Clover or the young Naruto, where they just yelling and screaming and loud and annoying
I
and
was like, wait,
rambunctious.
what?
And I'm like, please don't be the main character. You are so annoying. I do not want to watch an Asta movie. And then Hibiki came, and I'm like, thank goodness.
Well, you already knew Hibiki was
Well,
the
I was
main
nervous
character.
because he had a lot of screen time
At the very beginning, yeah.
and that's what had me shook.
Hibiki had to go save somebody.
Mhm.
Like, oh, thank
He's
you.
like he's the male damsel in distress.
Yeah, I was like, thank you, and you have been done. I'm glad you've done what you needed to do. I
He
don't
was
want to
not
see you.
that bad.
I was like, this kid, I wasn't here for it. But everything else, no, I loved every other character. Yeah, the antagonist was just the red bubble, so.
Yeah. Do you have anyone or anything, Jack, that you didn't like?
For me, I'm gonna honestly agree with Ace. I did not like Usagi. He was annoying, even for the little parts that he was there. He just rubbed me the wrong way, and then you add in his horrible hairstyle on top of it, just made me want to slap him.
Thanks. Okay, I'm so glad I wasn't alone.
Hey man, he doesn't have buzzards there, bro. Like, you know.
You know what?
No,
It's up to him. I would have been there. His head would have been shaved a long time ago if I was there. All right, just saying.
He was just being that rebellious, annoying kid that we don't like.
Exactly.
Oh man, yeah, he looks wild.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean I'm not gonna say I'm a fan of it. But I mean,
CJ, I got a question. Do you have your hair and pony and pigtails like him, like Usagi? Is that it? Is that why?
why? I'm jealous that I can't have my hair that way.
Actually,
no. I buzz my hair down like every 2 weeks.
Oh, so you and I are the same. I mean, it's been about a week and a half, and I'm already going. I need to cut my hair. It's already getting too long.
Yeah, I need to. I'm probably going to do that later today. Shoot, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we've care.
yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. I mean,
without
without like spoiling everything. I mean, we've talked about a lot of it, beginning to end, but there's still, I think it's still worth the watch so we can get into ratings. I was going to have Jack go first, just to put him on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. Ace said it. All right, Jack, you're up.
Go ahead. What's your rating?
I mean, so how did I rate it on ours? Because I think
Don't want to contradict yourself.
I remember your rating, so this will be funny. He's going through the notes right now. Hold on, wait a second.
Hold on.
no, because I remember rating it. I want to say I originally rated it a 7, and I rated it a 7 because I wanted to rate it higher than what I originally wanted to, which was like a 4 or like a 5 or 6 is what I originally said, but I moved it to a 7, and it was like kind of teetering on a low 7 out of 10. I'm gonna honestly, because of this conversation, it really kind of brought to light a lot more things. I really kind of view it differently now, so I may kind of watch it again just to try and catch those instances. I'm going to actually move my score. I'm going to move it to an 8.
All right.
Okay.
And yes, you literally said exactly the same thing. So good on you.
Shocking on your rating of the 4 and 5. That was surprising.
I could see why. And that's when I was listening this morning, I was like, I can understand why. Because so look at it as a whole, right? Beautiful concept, or beautiful art. The music was great.
Right.
You know me, I love music.
That's 4 points right there.
Yeah, but the plot wasn't that. I don't know, like it wasn't. I wasn't that into the plot. Like
There's plot bubbles.
Yeah, but the plot bubbles kind of popped for me. Like I don't know. Like
I guess I contradict that opinion just because we just saw Belle. And Belle did the spinoff with the Beauty and Beast. So then when this one did the spinoff between the Little Mermaid, I'm like, oh, they're on to something. So that,
but I think, and I actually compared this to Belle when I watched it. I think Belle just did it better because
for sure.
the actual like growth of Belle and like her personal story is great, right? Hibiki, all for being the main character, is not my favorite character. I mean, cool, he had some really cool parkour moments, but the growth that I see, let's just like the consistency that I saw in Shin was way more interesting to me than Hibiki's from child to now growth, right?
Okay.
So the plot wasn't that just like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, entertaining for me. So I could see that. But again, the other stuff does bring it up for me. So I usually go last, but I will go now because I'm talking about it, because I saw why. I'm actually, because I think I rated Belle an 8. I'm gonna rate this a 7 because I think it is good to watch. But even though it's 1 point, that 1 point is very significant. There is a huge gap between this and Belle for me, but it's not an unenjoyable movie. Like I'd watch this again. Like if somebody wanted to watch it, sure, and I'll recommend it to any of my friends who want to see like a different version of Little Mermaid, because it's a device, it's not the actual story. And 2, any of my friends that are interested in parkour, because those moments are very cool, which is why it brings it up to a 7 to me. Like if there was less parkour, there'd be less of a score. I'm being real with you. So So I mean, I'm gonna stick with a 7.
Go ahead, Jess.
I'm probably an 8. One, because the art was great, the music was great. You know, that just brings it up. But I don't know, like the story of it. I feel like they could have done more with the fairy tale, how tying that in, because they did do it, but I think they could have went the extra step to make it even better, to make it more clear of, hey, we're taking this spin-off of The Little Mermaid. I think they were stuck in the middle of Little Mermaid and parkour anime, and they didn't really mesh the two well, in my opinion, but it's still a great watch.
Okay.
I can see that.
Okay, I'm a Disney fan, and I was like, all right, that looks like The Little Mermaid. That looks like The Little Mermaid. The ending was just like The Little Mermaid story in the anime, but I think they could have went further with it. Like they could have grabbed more of The Little Mermaid story that was told and made it better.
Yeah, I think kind of bridging off of that, I think another one of the reasons that it's lower for me is that they didn't go one of the two ways with the Little Mermaid. So like the OG Little Mermaid story is very dark, actually.
It is.
Because Little Mermaid, I want to say, is more like a siren. So it's like, don't quote me, but I want to say she kills the prince, but I can't remember. And then you have
what happens is the Little Mermaid dies because the prince ends up falling in love with someone else. So that's that is it. Okay. So yeah, that's more the kind of side that they went, right? Like but I don't know. I feel like they were caught in the middle, like Jess said, between which version of the Little Mermaid should we do, or just do your own original. Because like again, we talked about Belle, right? Belle, you're like, you obviously know Beauty and the Beast, but they did it in their own way, and I loved it. Like I was like, okay, I can vibe with this creation that you did. I kind of guess that's what I wanted in this, right?
Okay. No, that makes sense.
And they do have a habit of just taking inspirations and running with it for fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood. You have Beauty and the Beast and
Snow White, I think, is another one.
Snow White.
There are a couple animes about Snow White.
Yeah. So it for them to just take it and do a spin-off or their own interpretation of it doesn't surprise me. Like you have Jin Ro, if I remember correctly, they did their own interpretation, which was kind of like a darker version of Little Red Riding Hood, or their version of Little Red Riding Hood, and it had parallels and told a story while at the same time having another story version of it at the exact same time in the movie.
Is that the anime? Because I'm thinking of one talking about Red Riding Hood. Is that the anime where you have like the woodsman and he's fighting a swordsman? Is that the anime I'm thinking of?
No.
Okay.
Jinro, the Wolf Brigade is basically.
Oh, Jinro, the Wolf Brigade. Okay,
Yeah.
Nope, I got you now. I know which one you're talking about. Duh.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, be quick, short, and sweet. I think what did I rate Bell?
I want to say you said a 10.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So because I rated Bell a 10, I
I'll rate this 11.
can't comfortably give this a 10. Hearing everyone's points, I do think that they portrayed the Disney Little Mermaid in a way where it was good enough for them not to get sued. I think they incorporated the Little Mermaid in parts very well. I think it was just little tropes, like you just have to like intentionally catch the eggs that they were trying to put out. So I enjoyed that part. The action, the parkour, the cutscenes, always going to be a number one fan for me. The story, I think they hit that on the money. It wasn't exactly like The Mermaid, but I think they made their point, and I was invested into the story. For the bubble, I still had questions on like why he could even recognize, like why Hibiki could hear the song. Why did the bubble can attune that Hibiki can hear her sing? Why could she sing in the first place? Are there any other bubbles that had any other powers that were similar to her? So it left me with questions that made me engaged. So I'm going to give it a 8.5 because I enjoy it. It's probably most likely an 8, but I enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it an 8.5.
And that's totally fine. I mean, that's the thing. And we say,
and Coach Shin, that's the 0.5 right there. Coach Shin.
he should be the 8. Everything else should be the 0.5.
If they could have done a flashback of him
like
being Hibiki's age.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody else was interesting to me. Like I would be all for like a story of Shin. Like that would be sick.
That would be amazing. So
But yeah, no.
But yeah, it was smooth. I didn't even check the time. It kind of flew by to me. I think this was the shorter one.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half or hour and 40, something like that. But yeah, no, I will say
longer, right?
Yeah, Bell was longer. But I will say with both of them, I didn't feel the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so yes, I may be left with a lot of questions, which is why I have it down to where I am, like where I rated it. But yeah, there was no lag or any slow parts for me. I think the moving of it was well done.
Yeah, well paced.
Yeah, so overall, it's a well done movie. But yeah, that's just had a couple questions. But that's why I say it all the time. That's why I love doing this because I like hearing other people's opinions. So
and usually I'm not a fan of the leftover questions and questions not being answered. But for some reason, I enjoyed this one. I'm like, I'll rewatch it tonight.
Yeah, no,
I pretty much rewatched it again, and I was enjoying it as we spoke. So
yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap up, again, want to thank Jack for joining us. Shout out where they can find you, Jack.
They can find us at featuredanimepodcast.com, at Those Anime Guys on Twitter and Featured Anime Podcast on Facebook.
All right, awesome. I listen to them all the time. They're great, 100%. Probably some of our listeners are from from you guys because always are shouting us out. So that is, I'm always appreciative for that. But then next week we're gonna have the full crew again because we're gonna be doing Horimiya.
Okay.
Yeah. So very excited for that one. That's, I want to say it's 12 episodes.
13.
Or is it 13? Okay, it is 13. 13 episodes. And we are looking forward to rewatching that one. But until then, I am CJ.
And this is Ace.
And I am Jess.
And we will catch you next AA meeting.
Thanks, Jack.
Of course.